Shalom, it's Gareth Cahoon Speaks here, back with another video. This study is going to be on the arguments for a Palestinian state. The question is asked is, if Israel just allowed the Palestinians to have a state of their own, there would be peace in the Middle East. Well, Israel has offered the Palestinians their own state on 5 different occasions. After the breakup of the Ottoman Empire in 1914, Britain took control of the Middle East. In 1918, 17 years later, in 1936, the Arabs rebelled against the British and their Jewish neighbours. The British formed a task force called the Peel Commission to study the cause of the rebellion. Their conclusion: two peoples, Jews and Arabs, wanted to govern the same land. Answer: create two independent states, one for the Jews and one for the Arabs. A two-state solution. The British gave the Arabs 80% of the contested territory and the Jewish people 20%. In spite the size of their tiny state, the Jews voted to accept this offer. The Arabs rejected it and continued with their rebellion. Rejection number 1. 10 years later, in 1947, the British asked the United Nations to come up with a new solution. Like the Peel Commission, they thought the best way was to divide the land. November 1947. Again, the Jews accepted the offer and the Arabs rejected it. The Arabs waged war against Israel. Rejection number 2. Lebanon, Iraq, Egypt and Jordan and Syria. But they failed. Israel won the war and proposed building their nation. In 1967, Syria, Jordan, Egypt waged war in Israel in what was known as the 6-Day War. Israel won, and most of the territory fell into Israel's hands. The government was unsure what to do. Half wanted to return the West Bank to Jordan and Gaza to Egypt in exchange for peace. The other half wanted to give it to the Arabs, that they would build their own state there. Neither got very far. The Arab League met and issued their 3 no's. No peace with Israel, no recognition of Israel, and no negotiations with Israel. Rejection number 3. Ehud Barak, Israel's Prime Minister, and Yasser Arafat, Palestinian Liberation Organization chairman, met at Camp David to discuss a new 2-state solution. Israel offered a Palestinian state, all of Gaza, 94% of the West Bank, East Jerusalem as its capital. Again, it was rejected. The next 2 rejections were similar, with Israel offering land and the Arabs rejecting it with their 3 no's. No peace with Israel, no recognition of Israel, no negotiations with Israel. Each time Israel is justified in the ownership of the land. Then the Arabs wanted the US are thinking of moving their embassy to Jerusalem, naming it the capital of Israel, and once again the Arabs kicked up. You see, God's blessings towards Israel are right from the very first book of the Bible. The first commandment with the promise in the Bible is that if you bless Israel, you in turn will be blessed. But on the other hand, that is, if you curse Israel, you're cursing your own body. And as these times and dates have shown, the Palestinians aren't wanting a two-state solution. They want from the river to the sea for Palestine to be free. But that can never be, because Israel is living in her own borders. She hasn't invaded another country. At least not until they were provoked by 1,200 civilian deaths, men, women, children, soldiers, Holocaust survivors. The scale of the horror and the carnage is just too much to bear. I've seen some pictures from Ben Shapiro where it showed cars being burnt out with the inhabitants inside. It's just sickening, the kinds of depravity that are going on in this world, not just in Israel and Ukraine, Nagorno-Karabakh, with the Palestinian militants emboldened after some sort of victory. But if this is the victory that they crave, well then it isn't a very smart victory, because the whole world is against them, and anyone who's not against them is afraid of them. And to be afraid of them is warranted, because they are evil, sadistic killers who want nothing only to rob, to kill, and to destroy Jewish lives, wherever they be, wherever they may be found. But there has to be equal justice for all. There's all this talk about Israel cutting off the electricity, the food supply, and everything, that the medicine that gets brought in from Israel. Well, for it to be cut off, it had to be going in the first place. You see, Israel supplies her neighbours with everything that they need to hold a stable government. But whenever Israel gives over pipes to do sewerage, they turn those pipes into rocket launchers and the likes. They use men, women and children as human shields, knowing very well that there will be carnage and that the world will turn against Israel. But I just hope that the world's resolve stays. And this is my prayer, so I'm just going to finish it off here and say Shalom, Maranatha, and Hallelujah. Look me up on my website called www.garethcahoon.co.uk. Shalom.